Hey, here we are at the Lonestar Sports Show right here on the Lonestar Sports Network. Giving it to you like it is, all things sports, all things Texas. Today's show is brought to you by FastSmallSports.com. FastSmallSports.com located there in Chicago, Illinois, right there on Michigan Avenue, leading sports and leading basketball into the 21st century through the vehicle of technology. A lot going on, Tom. A lot going on today. I mean, we can go in a lot of different directions.
Let's start with Eric Dickerson.
Okay, that's
What
a quick
clown.
one. Yeah,
What a clown.
I can't call Eric a clown.
Well, his proposal was a clown proposal. He's not a clown.
He came up in my time, my era.
Mine too. He played with my buddy at SMU, but he's still a clown for asking
Coach,
for $300,000.
Coach, you were still in Chicago then, so
No, I wasn't. I was here.
No, we were in high school.
1986.
No,
well, I guess it came after they finished playing when they were in the pros. Okay.
No, I'm talking about when we came to SMU,
right,
in 1979.
No, but as a player,
he came here with our guest tonight.
As a player, I love Eric Dickerson, but my only point is,
we know we love him as a player.
To ask for health benefits for everybody, that's completely valid. Yeah. But to ask for health benefits plus $300,000 a year when you already made more money than anyone else anyway, shut up, dude.
Right.
That's
it's not going to happen. I think the health benefit part of it is something that really needs to happen for these guys.
Absolutely, because they're all getting crushed on that.
Yeah, my own personal family right now, dealing with a whole lot, ex-wife struggling with cancer, trying to get $80,000 worth of drugs paid for that might save her life. I've got a 91-year-old mother and going through all the rehab and all that. So, I mean, the health care system that we're in right now is a joke.
Oh no, it's horrible. It's horrible.
I mean, you changing companies every. I mean, it used to be a time you had Blue Cross Shield, you had whatever you had, and you just kind of locked in on it. Now I get more promotional calls about health care than getting a roof fixed after a hailstorm or something. I mean, it's just constant bombarded with stuff about health care all the time. And I think that one of the worst things in the world is to see. I saw Bob Hayes. I saw Calvin Hill walking Bob Hayes around. And what it done to you, and I was also at a golf tournament with Earl Campbell.
Man, Earl really struggles to get around.
Yeah. Leave those guys, and where I do agree with what the coach is talking, what Eric is talking about is that they did build this game to what it is, and to leave them, I'm not saying that they should be profiting, but it's more of what is owed to them. Every other industry that you work in, school district, like yourself, you retired. Okay, you're a perfect example. Did Grand Prairie ISD and the Texas Teachers Association or whatever, did they take your insurance after you retired?
No.
Okay. Well, why should a guy play in the NFL in a violent sport like that makes way more than Texas education be suffering from lack of health care in their lighter twilight 60, 65, 70-year-old these years and time? That's absolutely it. It should be a lifetime deal. And they can't say they can't afford it.
Well, Eric made some really valid points. Like he made a point about how if you play one game in Major League Baseball, you're insured for life.
That's my point.
Okay, but then what he does is then by I don't even know where the hell the number $300,000 came out, but by bringing money in, this guy somehow managed to make an idiot organization like the NFL actually look sympathetic. He actually lost. He made the NFL win a public relations battle. That's like letting Trump beat you in public relations because they're idiots and he's an idiot, and he made himself look like a bigger idiot because he shouldn't be asking for that money. He shouldn't. It looks bad. The optics are terrible. The optics are awful.
And leading right back into optics, and this is one of the things that gets me right here. We were having a staff meeting earlier today, and this is what I mean by a certain sense of social consciousness that we like to have on this show. Obviously, it's a sports show, but you can't exclude the human factor and the nature of the whole sports. As big as it is, as much as we love it, it's still comprised of human beings. And the thing that kills me is that whenever someone in high-level sports starts talking about what's right and what's wrong, the angle on the political angle, the opportunity to get some marketing, that always has to come into the deal. We can't ever just look at what's right and what's wrong. One of the deals that I did, the young lady, long-time journalist from I think Boston Globe or whatever. I know she's from Boston, covered the Celtics way back, and Kevin McHale was playing. She was covering the Celtics. And she made the point about Adam Silver missed a grandiose time or opportunity to make a certain statement by making Mark Cuban out of example. So don't lose my point about the inappropriate behavior in the workplace with women. I'm totally in support of that. But why does it every time that we get ready to deal with what's right or wrong, we start trying to decide how it should be handled based on what kind of market spin or what kind of public relations thing is going to come about it? Taking time, Tom. Go ahead.
Money. Because
you always say that.
Right? Well, it always is the answer. I mean, at the end of the day, why do they wrap it up in public? Why do they try to make themselves look good? Because looking bad costs you money. Looking good makes you money. And right. So anytime there was a great teachable moment.
Keep that in the board. Keep it in the boardroom, though.
Okay.
And that's what I say. I mean, I'm a big Stephen A. Smith fan. I have a lot of respect for Stephen A. Met him before he was, what he is now, and liked him. And I know a lot of things are scripted that they've talked about, but that they deal with on ESPN on some of the shows they have. But the problem is that the whole show turns around to, they talk about plausible deniability and what he should have known, this, that, and the other. But when they start talking about the disciplinary action, it's not the disciplinary action based on being accountable. It's the disciplinary action on how many dollars we can spend off of it from a marketing situation. Just like we did the Nike versus the People a few days ago, a week or two ago. It wasn't the fact. The problem I have with that situation, I wear Under Armour, and everybody obviously I have a relationship there. Well, it has nothing to do with brand. I was told from a very reliable source from almost getting, and I have spent time with Phil Knight. I kind of noticed to him who he is. His decision, I know they have to make corporate decisions, but keep it in the boardroom. Why couldn't we just look at the fact that Phil Knight was willing to take a stance with Colin Kaepernick and what was going based on his experience and what he thought was right and his experience in his company with black athletes.
Hey, I heard a great story today that goes back to Phil Knight. It goes back to Nike, and they're talking about how Nike's always been willing to take risks. Today they hit an all-time high in their stock market, okay? Roughly 20 years ago, remember when Charles Barkley did that advertisement about I shouldn't raise your kids, you should raise your kids? Y'all remember that Nike advertisement, any of you guys?
I don't remember that one.
Charles Barkley, see if you can find it on. I listened to it today. It was when he came out. It's like it might have been 1993 or 97, one of those 2 years for some reason seemed to hit home. But what it was, I shouldn't be your role model because I can dunk a basketball. Your role model should be your parents. I'm not here to raise your kids, okay? Anyway, they took a tremendous amount of shit for that. And if it had been in today's era with the social media, they would have buried him. But you know what happened? They made money. They've gone up 25 times. Their stock price has gone up 25 times since they've taken every risk in the world, and they keep making money. And that's why I wish more American companies would grow a set and take a risk once in a while, because everyone's so careful to not lose money. They lose money.
This is the problem with what I'm talking about. Us as older, seasoned adults and seeing things come and go, we have the ability to understand and figure out and decipher out and still maintain our values. Where the real problem falls into this is that the way we're shaping the culture of our young people. You got Ani sitting right there at 25 years old. He's a grown man. He operates his own household, but he's still at an impressionable enough age. His values are being shaped. His peers and their values are being shaped. It doesn't really matter how you treat women. It only has to do with the consequences or how much value is in how you treat women. And that's what I'm really, going after the mainstream media on and how these things are handled abroad. We know what Mark Cuban is coming up with plausible deniability on and being able to say, I didn't know, which...
Wait, hold on a second. That doesn't even pass the stink test.
He
talked about being an absentee owner.
Coach, you're going off on a tangent. You're going off on a tangent. Okay. I'm going to let you go. You about to jump on him for not knowing, and you're probably right. But the point that I want to make is that do we realize that when we take these materialistic, superficial perspectives on right and wrong, and that the only thing that's right or wrong is if you're making money or not making money, what are we saying to the young people of the future?
The ends justify the means. That's what we're telling them.
Yeah.
If you make money, whatever you do to make money is okay. And if you don't make money, then you should have been a better scumbag or something.
Yeah.
But the ends justify the means, and I don't believe they do.
You got to be a smart scumbag. And we talk about the deterioration of society and values and how people operate and function, even the coachability of athletes. It starts to dissolve when they constantly see that you really not or liable or should be held accountable to the mistakes you make or the choices you make. You really not right or wrong. It's what you get caught on and how much money you make or lose on it, and that's what causes young athletes to look that way. They look at this and they look at that, and everybody looks, and they're just the ones sitting there watching.
Well, and Mark Cuban probably made some sort of calculation in his mind that said, if I spend $10 million, it might save me X amount of grief. And I don't know how you quantify that. I'm not sure how that is. But that's a very insincere gesture. I'm sorry. And that's a completely insincere gesture.
I'm okay with the money guys in the back room. That's their job, is to analyze what's going on and what's out there and what the risk is. That's their job, to figure it out. But when you bring it, when journalists and people like us sitting on shows and stuff start to justify actions based on how things are handled and how much money is made, value, it brings it down to you just have a superficial, false value system that you're teaching the kids.
Well, they're millennials, and if we teach them wrong, then that's the last hope. Because if they see the wrong messages from us, they send the wrong messages to the next generation. And where do we end up?
As what's even crazy than that, they're millennials, and as we get ready to go to break here, they're millennials, and if we teach them wrong with the power of technology and what they have right now, it's going to go way faster than it ever happened in the 60s, 70s, and 80s and 90s, because everything is on steroids of how fast things grow now. So you're embedding a value system that erodes at a way higher rate.
So what you're saying is,
you got the Lone Star Sports Show right here on the Lone Star Sports Network. Today's show is brought to you by FastSmallSports.com. This particular segment was brought to you by Hartem Hotels. Go take a look at HartemHotels.com and see how you can put your money where you sleep. Back in 180 seconds, we got our in-house guest in tonight, Tom Emmon, Alan Branch, Lady Life, and my main man, the Prince, Honey.
Hartem Hotels. Make money where you and millions of others spend money. Hartem Hotels Investment and Development Group's primary disciplines include hotel acquisitions, hotel development, hotel project management, as well as asset and partnership management. At Hartem Hotels, we invest in upscale focused service and extended stay hotel properties, mainly in Texas and other major urban markets. We are hotel owners, developers, investors, and asset managers persistent in our pursuit of successful ventures and passionate about our products. We provide nationally branded investment opportunities, including Hilton, Marriott, and Hyatt hotel franchises. Hartem Hotels strategically places the right product in the right location for the right customer. Get started with us today. Visit us online at www.hartemhotels.com. Hartem Hotels, put your money where you sleep.
Hey, here we are back here for segment 2 of the Lonestar Sports Show. Today's show is brought to you by FastSmallSports.com. Giving you a little forecast, we got the legend Rob Wright right here, the Oak Cliff legend, straight out of the Big Apple, coming to us to tell us how he ended up here and why did he stay. We'll be talking about that in the second segment and everything that's going on in Oak Cliff and the stages of Rob's career. So you get ready to chime in and go get comfortable and hear roughly 36 minutes of what Rob Wright has accomplished and what all he's done and where all he's been and what he's been a part of, what he's seen change and what he's seen come. But back to the whole deal, we got to give homage to the Cowboys. I always like to reflect back and look back on something. I know you're finna dive in on me, and I got a Chicago dude, a New York dude in here, so that they rough on Texas, but for some reason they in Texas.
The women, are you kidding me? The women and the weather. Come on, man, get real. What else would you come here for?
The women and the weather. Okay, all right. Yeah. But right now, what I see, I heard y'all talking about Dak. I don't think Dak is great. You know, sometimes we get so caught up in who has to be great. You've got, it's like we've been talking about a lot about the Longhorns. You've got to have one dynamic guy, one dynamic entity about your team. No team, unless you're talking about the dream team, that won the Olympics or whatever, some with that first group there or something. There's no all-star. The chemistry of the process is having one dynamic thing that you do well, one dynamic player, one dynamic person. And if you think I'm not right, how successful are the New England Patriots?
Couldn't be any more successful.
Right.
And I'll take it to the other extreme of a team that's not. The Chicago Bears, who always play great defense,
there we go.
play good. Well, no, hold on a second. There's a reason I'm saying this. We made it to the Super Bowl with Rex freaking Grossman as our quarterback. If we can make it with Rex Grossman, you can make it with Dak.
Yeah, y'all made it to the Super Bowl twice, didn't you?
Well, we won it with McMahon, and we lost it with Grossman.
Okay, McMahon's the only quarterback.
But my whole point is that Grossman's way worse than Dak. Dak could be drunk and be better than Rex Grossman. So if you guys would figure out how to do something like block for Zeke and play some defense and get Jerry out of everyone's hair, you could still win without Dak being great.
Last time I checked, Jerry had not played not one down. He just signs the front of the check for the downs that are played. So we can't blame good play now. I do have some questions.
We can blame him for the coaches he hired, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Well, so it's hiring and firing of the process. That's what we're
No, the hiring is the problem. He never does. He never gets to the firing part.
Branch's point about it, right? Branch's Cowboy thoughts are for the night is that they continue to progress and put together. They got 3 or 4 key defensive players coming off of injury reserve. They're going to be coming back into the process. They practiced this week, so I think that and as competitive as the NFC East is, they'll be right down in there 1 game, 2 games tops out of what'll be going on down there. Now the question comes down to, it's going to be hard to win the league, but I'm saying 9-7, 10-6, Dallas Cowboys. You say 7-9 or something.
Well, I've always said somewhere between 7 and 9, 9-7, just roughly. I mean, I think the two-game ban, 2-game window.
Okay, as bad as they were last year, let's just do some common sense about this. As bad as they were last year, or as hard as they struggled last year, they were mathematically in place to have an opportunity to control their own destiny, and then still had a numerical opportunity for a wild card spot down the stretch. Isn't that about right, Honey? Honey, give me a good solid head shake there. So that's my whole point is the Cowboys are headed.
Want to take a second to go game by game, just real quick?
Go ahead.
All right, let's do that. Let's say
you call them out, and I'll tell you what I think.
All right, at Seattle.
Got a chance to get that one this week.
They're going to lose that one. They'll beat Detroit.
Oh, wait, they're going to lose to Seattle?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Well,
okay, might
I don't
happen,
think
but,
so.
Yeah, no,
okay, they'll blow Detroit out.
Yeah, I mean,
Houston. It's hard to say.
It's a big game. It's a rival game.
It's one of those games where no matter who's the better team, it's going to be played close. I would probably say at Houston, they probably lose at Houston.
Playing for the Governor's Cup,
right?
And I don't know. And Houston hasn't been great this year. I mean, I haven't dove in on O'Brien, but O'Brien made some key decisions and choices in the game against New England that possibly could have beat New England.
Well, and I really do like the defense on Houston. I love that when you got Jadeveon Clowney on one end and J.J. Watt on the other. That's pretty impressive stuff.
It looks good on paper.
All right,
the personnel's right. Go ahead.
Moving forward versus Jacksonville. I'm not going to say lose, but it's going to be very tough to win. That's a really good team.
Is that at Jacksonville?
That's here against Jacksonville. I mean, I'm inclined to say loss, but I don't know.
No.
At Washington, they should win that.
Yeah.
Versus Tennessee at home, they should win that.
Mm-hmm.
Philadelphia, they'll lose because it's getting cold.
Mm-hmm.
At Atlanta, they should win.
It's gonna be a tough one.
I think yeah.
At Atlanta,
It's gonna be a tough one.
coin flip.
I think they won in Philly.
Home against Washington, probably should win it, but again, then you're getting late in the season, so injuries come into play more. Versus
Maybe.
New Orleans,
It's always a tough one.
It's
that's a
always
coin
tough
flip
one.
because you got to deal with Drew.
Yep.
Philly, tough to win that one. They should beat Indianapolis. Depends which quarterback they get at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's look pretty good.
No,
All right,
Tampa's
so-
been really, really good.
All right, so let's see. They're 1-1.
Go ahead and count
I'm
it
going
up.
to say 1-2. Detroit 2-2. Houston 2-3. Jacksonville 2-4. Washington 3-4. Tennessee 4-4. Philly 4-5. Atlanta 5-5. Washington 6-5. New Orleans, I'm going to say loss 6-6. Philly 6-7. Indy 7-7. Yeah, it's right about where I figured. And then Tampa Bay, New York, I would say.
You got them 8-8, Coach. That's about 8.
Well, that's 7-7. I'm at right now.
Yeah,
So now
it's
the last two
that's
games.
9-7. That's 9-7.
But I don't
That's
think- no.
that's
7-7. I think they're going to lose the last two, so I say 7-9.
yeah, right.
So that's
Okay.
all where we said.
Yeah, well, no, that's
Roughly.
what you said.
Okay,
Whoa, hold on, that's what you said, Coach. Then we want to count them up my way.
Okay, go for it. What's yours?
We're gonna tell
Do
him
the
up.
same thing.
Okay, we got the same. You do the count, and I'm gonna go to calling out.
You did.
They 1-1 right now, right?
Okay, call them out. I'll count.
Okay. Seattle they 2-1.
Okay,
Detroit they 3-1.
okay.
Houston they're 4-1.
Damn, wishful thinking. Keep going.
Jacksonville they're
5-1.
no they're 4-2. Oh, he's just-
Good, you came back and sobered up. Good.
Ah,
Okay.
He was
Come
talking
on,
that-
have a little
He
fun.
was talking that.
Don't get so
he was ta-
freaking sensitive, dude. Come on, man.
Tell you like I tell all the rest of them. Y'all be bandwagoning around here in a little bit. See, now
I
you done
never
messed the
bandwagon.
numbers all
I'll
up.
never jump on your
So-
bandwagon.
so what do you-
I'll
you-
let you roll me over before I'll jump on your bandwagon.
You're 4-2 right now, right?
Okay, 4-2.
So you got
No,
Washington.
you're at Washington, right?
We're 5-2.
Okay.
We're 6-2.
At Tennessee, okay.
We're 6-3.
Okay.
We're 6-4.
Okay.
We're 7-4.
Okay.
We're 7-5.
Okay.
We're 7-6.
Okay.
We're 8-7. Indianapolis.
8-6.
8-6.
8-6. So you're saying Indianapolis 8-6. Okay.
8-6.
You haven't
Now
beat
you're
Tampa Bay?
Now you're 8-7.
Okay.
Nope. 8-7. And you got New York and you're 9-7.
You got to
Man,
beat
not-
New
not-
York outside in December, huh? I don't.
Look, I saw the New York team. You and Rob, y'all take that somewhere else.
At New York, December 30th in the cold weather, you
we
might have
have
to
no
take
problem.
that somewhere else.
Y'all got the old decrepit quarterback. We got young dude. How much Ben Gage you think gonna take to get him warmed up? Yeah, back in the day, y'all old enough to remember when they had the big
Hold
old
on.
thing of bomb.
Yeah, but the
with that
difference-
big ice, bomb.
But hold on, the first time around the league, what Eli does is he takes it, drops back 5 steps, and throws. Second time around the league, he takes the ball and goes like that, and then he goes like this, and he goes like that. He don't throw that damn ball in December.
Hey, we don't have no problem with that either, because we got a defense to come up and see you.
We'll see who's still alive
Hey,
when you get
y'all
to
got
point.
that high-paid wide receiver that we covered with one guy the whole time the other night. He didn't catch but 4 balls.
Hey, I'm not an OBJ fan. I told you I thought it was an idiotic contract. I did. I don't know. I think it's a terrible
I'm
contract.
gonna stop. I'm gonna run
Good,
my.
you're giving me-
I
you're
run-
giving me
I run
ammo.
my- I run my guest off here. I keep on hammering them.
Rob's going to leave.
Yeah, Rob get up. I look around, give me a drink of water. Think Rob went to the bathroom. I be trying to announce Rob, and Rob be gone. But that's my.
Okay, so you
that's
got him
my
at 9-7. I got him at 7-9.
Okay.
Okay, so it's a pretty tight window. You're not exactly claiming to go to the Super Bowl.
no, I'm not claiming to go to Super Bowl. Y'all claiming to go to Super Bowl in Chicago? Y'all going
Yeah,
to
as
Super Bowl in New
fans.
York?
Yeah, let me know what the ticket price costs, right?
Yeah.
Come
Boy, I
on,
tell you,
man.
we might have almost just wait. Let's see if we can salvage this segment.
Why? Because we're having fun. Okay, yeah, my bad. Let's get back on
We're
that.
gonna see if we can salvage this deal. Jimmy Butler seems to only be able to find one home. I got 2 questions. The one home that seems, I don't think New York Knicks are not going to give up anything. They said they've been down that road with Carmelo Anthony once in management.
They made too many bad trades and too
Man.
many personnel
Well,
problems for 15 years. All the way
They
back
gave-
to Isaiah
they
Thomas.
They gave up too much, right? Okay,
Right.
yeah.
They're still paying for Isaiah's mistakes.
Yeah, so they're not going to do that again. Now I got 2 questions. Probably he's a Doc Rivers guy. That's going to be interesting to see how those 2 personalities work together. And then the other flip side of it is, does LeBron have enough juice in L.A., even though he hadn't unpacked his bags there yet, to say, I want him to come play here?
Well, the only thing I'll say first about the LA thing is if Jimmy Butler's leaving Minnesota, and by
He's leaving.
left, I mean, but
Yeah.
by all accounts, he's left because Karl Towns and Andrew Wiggins are soft and have no heart. He doesn't want to play with guys like that. I'd use a bad word, but I can't do it on air, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So if that's going to happen, I'm not sure that that's any better fit because, I mean, the last team you mentioned was who? You were talking about
The Clippers?
The Clippers. Oh, no, talking about going to the Lakers. Okay, if he's got a problem playing with Karl Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins, he's not going to have a problem playing with the softest of soft Lonzo Balls. I mean, you couldn't possibly put him with Lonzo Ball and LeBron James.
I know y'all do not want to hear this, but this LeVar Ball or Alonzo Ball stuff is going to get real thin when they get back in there and they start winning and the rubber starts meeting the road.
Oh, no,
because you start
getting
getting Rondo. I spent some time around Rondo. Rondo likes to win. He likes to compete.
Well, they'll win because Rondo plays instead of Lonzo, but they won't win because of Lonzo. And my only point is about Jimmy. Will Jimmy go to L.A. to play with all that mess? I don't think so.
I mean, I don't know.
Not to play with the Lakers, I'm saying.
But you got Magic Johnson sitting there. That's a real soldier.
Right.
You got the coach, Walton's son, sitting there as a coach. He going to do whatever the older guys say do and manage the process.
Right.
Now, if you start inserting all of this toughness in this age, what's going to happen to a Ball? He's either going to get better and fit in,
or he'll leave, right? Yeah,
or he'll leave. And so it's going to get tricky. But my real question is, does he have enough juice to say, I want him? What happens then? Well, they haven't dealt with this. Is the problem right here. And I wish Snoop Johnson were here with his Laker love himself. The problem is that what really breaks down is they haven't seen the version of LeBron when he coming in and talking about who he wants to play and who he doesn't want to play. When he comes in and takes control of that team and starts moving the pieces around, get a little tricky then.
Go ask Andrew Wiggins. He lasted about, 3 cups of coffee in Cleveland with LeBron before LeBron moved him out?
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole deal. I mean, Shaq would do that too. He'd go in and tell him, hey, man, this is what I'm going to play with, this is what I ain't going to play with. Y'all need to figure it out.
But you know one little twist on Jimmy that I think makes it unlikely he goes to the Lakers? Jimmy doesn't play a Fondy rec in the summer down in Houston because he looks at players as the enemy. I stay home, I train, I'll play golf with you when I retire. I don't see him being the guy that jumps on an established team. I see his personality is more like the guy to lead an
He's going to jump on
team.
with some tough guys. So we're going to see. And I haven't done enough research to really look and see where it all going to end up. But like I say, we're going to announce Rob. What was call you Rob Williams? You remember Rob Williams? That's a hell of a comparison, though. You could be called worse things, Coach. Rob Wright, legendary Rob Wright, right here in Oak Cliff, Texas. We're probably going to talk about Rob Williams a little bit when we get on here with some of the things that we got to talk about. Rob Wright, former Dallas Carter coach, former assistant at the University of Texas, former George Washington assistant. The first, it kind of reminds me of the situation with my man that won the D-League. He won the first Dallas versus Houston deal where he led the Dallas guys down to win that process, and now he works with Texas boys basketball and Texas grassroots, as mainly with TexasBoysBasketball.com as a peer evaluator and scout. Doesn't do any writing or any of that side of it. He's looking at players and saying how good they are and how good they aren't, and helping us put our label on as part of that process. So we're going to go all the way through the career, roughly 40 years, and why is it that Rob Wright left the great state of New York, the Big Apple, to come to Texas. We understand why he came. Real question is, why is he still here? He's going to let us know how all of that went and why he is the legend that he is and which way we can forecast his career going. Alan Branch right here. Tom Emmon going to take a quick break. Lady Life, Honey the Prince, and the next voice and person that you'll see and guest in our house will be Rob Wright, the legendary Rob Wright, right here at the Texas Lonestar Sports Show on the Lonestar Sports Network. This segment was brought to you by Fast Models, Fast Recruit. Go see how you can keep track of your process. We out. Hey, here we are back here at the Lonestar Sports Show on the Lonestar Sports Network. Giving it to you like it is. Today's show is brought to you by FastSmallSports.com. We've let Tom Emlin take a break. He's going to sit back behind the deal and kind of enjoy the show. And we got my man, you know, I've known Rob for a long time and never dreamed I'd have an opportunity to work with him. And we're so excited after almost completing a full year of being with us at TexasBoysBasketball.com. You know, I call him the quiet assassin. Doesn't make a lot of noise, doesn't say a lot of this, doesn't say that. He just goes about his business, gets his work done. Half of you all out there don't even know what he's doing. You think he's just a casual observer. And when we got the notepad and we got to put his pencil up, I'm going to applaud his daughter for that. They lined him up and put him on his notes and put him on the Google Drive. When Ronnie was put him on the Google Drive, he really started getting in. He looked at it and said, hey, man, it does make sense.
It makes a lot
Coach,
of sense.
I was just about 2 steps ahead of you. So don't,
yes, sir.
Don't think I had it figured out for a long time either on that deal. But, Coach, what did you think growing up? You know, and I know, did you grow up right there in Mount Vernon, too? Close to Mount Vernon? No, not close. You're not close to Lou Hill.
No, I'm from Harlem, but we're about 30 minutes from Mount Vernon.
Okay, right, yeah. Y'all 30 minutes, I don't know. That might not even be but 2 miles or 10 blocks or something.
It is.
Yeah. So y'all, they calculate things on a different term in the Big Apple, but the point, you know, when you in the 70s and you're thinking about the possibility of going to Texas to play basketball, I mean, there was a lot more difference in New York and Texas then than it is now. I mean, Houston and Dallas weren't what they are now, but New York was what it is now.
Yes.
What did you think? What was in your head about going to Texas? I mean, what was being a 16, 17, 18-year-old kid, thinking about that may be a possibility in your career that you could end up in Texas?
Well, I came out of a junior college, so I went to Colorado first.
Okay.
And then coming to Texas, I got recruited by Texas A&M, University of Houston, and I went to University of Houston and checked them out. But they had a very good player down there. His name was Rob Williams, and I just decided to that wouldn't have been a good idea because he was the McDonald's All-American, and I was All-American from a junior college, Trinidad State Junior College in Colorado. So, you know, I wanted to play with a friend of mine that was at Texas A&M, Dave Britton, and went down there and visited.
Ren Wright was over there at that time?
Right. I learned a lot from guys from Dallas.
Was Claude Riley still there?
Claude Riley was his first year there.
Okay,
yeah.
all right.
Yeah. We had a good year. We went to the Final 16. We lost to Louisville in double overtime. Had a great year, and you know, I just enjoyed Texas, and I got an opportunity after a couple of years and got a job in Dallas coaching, and that was it.
Yeah.
I stayed.
Okay, let me slow it down, Coach. You don't have to be in a rush. I still want to go back to what does a 16, 17-year-old kid, what you and Dave Britton grew up together a little bit, right? Y'all been saying he's from Harlem too?
Yes, he is. He's from Harlem.
So y'all sitting around however y'all do it in New York when you back in those days, and we sit around on the corners up under the street lights down in Texas. That was kind of our way where everybody told the stories and shared, you know, perspectives about what they thought they were going to do and how they thought they were going to end up. What do you talk about as a schoolboy star in the Big Apple in New York City in the 70s? What do you think when you think about potentially or possibly coming to Texas, or that is not even a figment of anybody's imagination?
Not at all. It wasn't a thought. Our deal was we just hanged out. We sat in the parks. We sat on cars. We talked about beating up each other and how we, take notches, and anybody that wanted to play against us, we just went through and we talked about being NBA players. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's like 14 of us. Everybody wanted to be an NBA player. Nobody thought about anything else. We didn't think about even going to college. No.
That is a very, very interesting point and perspective that y'all had on things. Now I'm gonna throw one out there, and I didn't get permission for this, but he done told us so many times until I'm gonna blame it on him. You know, Coach, you were a hell of a guard right there in the big city, and a lot of things were going on.
All City, 1977.
That's a hell of a statement. 1977, All City guard in the Big Apple. You know, you actually, Coach. The only thing else you could have done that would have topped that would have been an NBA player. That was the only thing that would have topped that.
I was
especially
on my way.
In those days. Right.
I was on my way.
Because they told us that you had another talent on Friday night. You already know where I'm going.
Yes, sir.
I've been, and you correct me if I don't tell this story. I should have let Dave Britton come here and tell this story. But back in the day, it was a big deal in New York, and we went as progressed as y'all. We had house parties and different things, but they used to take Rob around to the house parties, and Rob would win the dance contest that had a money prize. And that money prize would feed all the boys and everybody be in good shape for the night. Everything y'all wanted, right?
Yes, sir.
You the man.
We go buy coats and jackets and sneakers.
And they hauled him around like it was a show.
It
Dave
was.
Britton, I wish Dave Britton was here to tell it. He could tell it better than I tell it.
Well, I tell you one thing, which is honest. I am going to be inducted into they have a hip hop Hall of Fame that'll be opening up in about next year.
Wow.
And I will, me and Dancing Doug, we will be inducted into that, and that's going to be pretty big.
That is crazy. If I got a celebrity right here, Hall of Famer. I guess got another Hall of Fame ballot for me to vote, which I didn't have to vote on you. You already gonna be inducted. We already voted you in the whole 9 yards. So in that culture of being in New York at that time, y'all just hooping and dancing.
That's it.
That was
Having
the whole
fun. Just wasn't worried about a thing.
One word about a thing.
No.
Just taking it like it was.
Now, we didn't hustle, we ain't scramble, we ain't sell drugs, we ain't drink. We just kept it basketball and girls.
Right. That's pretty good. That is a pretty good angle on it. I thought I just had to let that cat out the bag. So Trinidad is in Trinidad Junior College. I'm familiar with it. Is in Colorado. And I always knew you went to junior college, so I wasn't exactly sure where. So you went over. What was those 2 years like being there at Trinidad? How did you feel being away from New York? You're used to the cold weather, so that wasn't a problem. But being in Trinidad, it's a whole different animal.
Different animal, colder, more snow, and it was really it was just us. It was a different culture. We came. It was maybe minorities who was maybe 12 of us, and we learned how to live on farms. We learned how to drive a car. We learned how to deal with the Midwest and what it gave us.
So before you left New York and went to Colorado, you had never driven a car before?
No, I haven't.
No.
I didn't get a license till I probably was 22 years old.
Wow. Just a different time and a different angle when you look at it. And you're sitting there, and then Dave is down at in College Station, Texas. Do you and Dave ever talk or see each other during that window time while he's there and you're in Trinidad?
No, we back then we didn't have cell phones, so we all wrote letters to each other. All of us were in junior college. There was about 10 of us, so we were all over the country, and we just wrote letters to each other.
Wow.
And because phones cost too much.
Yeah. What you didn't have access to it, and just so we were talking about how fast technology goes. I'm just a little bit younger than Rob, not enough to even really talk about. But in that period of time, when I first went to college, the letter writing thing, in that little window, 2 or 3 years of time, the calling card came out.
Yes, it did.
And that calling card came out, and so there were all kind of crazy hustles, calling cards and codes. And was there a company called MCI? Does anybody?
MCI was there.
Yeah, nobody know that. Coach would know that. Tom would remember it, but the kids they were too young to remember it. Yeah, right. There was a company called MCI, a big, huge Fortune 500 communication company called MCI. The cell phone wiped them out of business. Cell phone, because they were in the pager business some too.
It was.
Right. But, as time progressed along there and you're communicating, you're there, obviously there's a crazy culture shock. Is it too hard? Can you recall what you're sitting there in Colorado at Trinidad Junior College, and all of everything is totally different. The only thing you recognize is the gym. Everything else, that rectangle, that 94 by 50, is still the same 94 by 50 that you're familiar with.
It was.
Right. But everything else culturally, what kind of skill set were you able to develop at 18, 19 years old, being thrown into an environment that you feel like you still carry and have now to this day?
Well, I thought I was always ahead of the game. I've always had problems with coaches from college because I always played fast. And we led the nation in scoring 2 years in junior college. Okay. So we played fast. Okay. I always had a great vision. I always could feel for the game. I can see it ahead. So I brought that with me. And just being a point guard and just seeing things, you know.
Is that the way you played in high school?
Yes, I did. And I played against Magic Johnson in 79, and we lost to them in the AAU National Championship. And he told me something when we was all in the swimming pool. He said, passes get promises and scores get contracts. And I thought that was kind of different because when it's all said and done, he can pass the ball and score.
Sort of, right. Yeah.
And so at
So
that
passes
time,
get promises and
scores
get contracts.
Yes, sir. And I learned that in the 70s.
Right. That's pretty good
Yes,
from a guy like Magic Johnson.
Yes, sir.
You know, you said something that was kind of funny to me. I'm kind of getting a little relaxed feel about everything now. You just said something. Y'all were at an AAU tournament. We didn't have AAU basketball in Texas at that time. Y'all were at an AAU tournament, and you said y'all were hanging out at the swimming pool. So, I mean, you must have been at the Nationals. Everybody was staying at the hotel. Now all the kids get a chance to relax, the game's over with or whatever. Y'all are hanging out, and everybody's in the pool.
Yeah, we was there in 78. We was at Boca Raton High School, and that's
It's in Florida, Boca
yes,
Raton.
in Florida. It was
a
AAU
nice part
National.
of Florida.
Yes.
Right.
And
Was
Albert
it nice
King,
then?
Yeah, Albert
Yeah.
King was our guy. He was
Okay.
the guy, and Magic was their guy. So they called him Windex.
Mm-hmm.
They called Magic Windex, and we lost to them. And Magic had 51, and Al had 49. So. You know, we didn't get to shoot a lot that game.
But they were getting in 100 points between the two of the guys, but both of them were tremendous talents too at the same time. That's kind of part of what comes at it with that age. You're ready to wind down and go for a break. You get an introduction to Rob Wright and how he developed and how he ended up moving here and why he knows the amount of basketball, why basketball runs so deep with a Rob Wright, you know, and what he's looking at and what he's seeing. And we're going to talk about now you're in Texas, and now what happens. Right here at the Lone Star Sports Show on the Lone Star Sports Network. Got my main man, Rob Wright, here giving it to us like it is and how it's been and how it's probably going to be if you want to listen and see what the future holds. Lady Life, Honor Your Money, yours truly, Alan Branch, and my main man, Tom Emlin. Getting it all in, all things sports, all things Texas. We'll be back in 180 seconds with more Lone Star Sports Show. interesting. I try to stay on task here, but every time we break off to a break and come back, some really interesting things come up. You know, I never did anticipate. You know, I do these kind of interviews all the time, and I never anticipated the intimacy of the experience and where it was going to be. I guess I should have recognized that. But we're back here at the Lonestar Sports Show on the Lonestar Sports Network. Today's show is brought to you by FastSmallSports.com. This particular segment was brought to you as being brought to you by the Lonestar JUCO Prep Showcase right there at Drive Nation Fieldhouse, October the 5th and 6th, where you get a chance to see roughly 50, 7,500 Division I coaches. Actually had the guys that called me from Idaho, University of Idaho today about a player that's going to be coming, actually about two players that are going to be coming here from Seattle, Washington to come take a look. So coaches are starting to talk about the fact of what time you're going to do this, what time you're going to do that. And basketball is starting to take shape and take form. Two groups out of Oklahoma calling and want to know when schedule ready, and a little community college down in Baton Rouge want to know when the schedule is going to be ready. So guys are getting a little antsy and a little excited. Practices are about to start. So basketball is kicking in. So you'll be able to get a good taste of it right there at the Lonestar JUCO and Prep Showcase right there at Drive Nation, October the 5th and 6th. We'll be from 10 to 7, Friday and Saturday right there. Come take a look and see what it is, where it is, and how it all goes. But
shout out to all the schools and the fans coming down.
Yeah.
Safe travels.
That's for sure. Safe travels. That's one thing I've been really, really, really thankful for. All the events and all the things God has really, really blessed our travel over all the years, probably 40, 50 events now over about 12 or 13 years. And we've just been blessed without any tragedy. I mean, thank God, man. I really don't take that for granted, because it's a weird thing when you operate events and you got this many kids and this many families and people on planes and everything. And as tired as you are when you lay down, you have to have this weird thing as everybody getting back home safe. And so, you know, I don't take that for granted at all, Coach. But back to the world that we grew up in, and I'm gonna keep it moving. I'm not gonna get hung up in there. We know that we had a great era. You say, what am I talking about before I move on? I'm talking about the fact we got Tom from Chicago, got myself from Dallas, and we got Rob Wright from the Big Apple there in New York, right there in Harlem, New York. And we all have shared a mentality / pastime that has totally evaporated from the way kids live and enjoy one another. I guess because are there no more neighborhoods? You know, has the neighborhood gone away? Do you not interact with people that you grow up with? I mean, I guess it's just been taken away. But we all talked about how, you know, kids over roughly 4 or 5, I know for myself it was 4, 5, 6, 7 classes. That's why I knew a lot of the guys that you played with, Rob, because I was a younger guy in middle school, and those guys were going away. And even Dave Britton would come home early on, right, with Carl and Billy's new brother, Renwright. And, you know, he was from New York. That was a big thing because, I mean, New York was a big thing to us. And so when you would see people, there was a time that you stood around and you visited one another. I guess maybe social media plugs that in. They visit via technology now, and they don't visit with direct interaction, human interaction anymore. So I guess it makes sense how it all goes. But anyway, okay, now you, and one of my mentors I think had something to do with this, but now you are at Trinidad and you finished up your second year and you looked at it, and Rob Williams, that's funny, we were talking about Rob Williams. I didn't even know that, I didn't even put the 2 and 2 together. Another really good guard that played at the University of Houston in the same conference with you. Yes, sir. So you didn't go play with him, so you had to play against him. You're pretty good, Coach. Yes.
They was on their way to start fly slammer jam.
I thought Rob was the best guard I've ever seen, possibly the best player I've ever seen in the state of Texas.
That's true.
Yeah. But you ended up going to College Station. Talk about that process. You had a friend on the team, a childhood buddy, a guy you grew up with. That was there playing, had been there for 2 years. Was his experience there influential in you deciding or helping me feel more comfortable about going to College Station, Texas?
It played a little part in it. Basically, when I got there, I enjoyed the guys, and really the guys from Dallas, Vernon Smith and Ren Wright. You know, they took me under their wing, and they taught me a lot about maze and you know, music. I was a music lover, and just taught me about how they way of life. And I used to come home with them on the weekends and.
Got a chance to get you a good dose of Oak Cliff, huh?
Yeah, I never knew I was going to wind up here. And then I met Coach Gillum, God bless, rest in peace. And he was Vernon's coach in high school at Carter High School, and keep that point because later on that's where I wound up.
Yep. Now we're gonna talk about that, the old Oak Cliff glory days, and where is it now? So, I know that Coach Davis, Barry Davis, recruited both of you all, or just
no? He recruited. They recruited Dave. I got recruited from Bob Gobin. He was the other assistant coach.
Okay, all right. So so you weren't really recruited. So when you got there, was Coach Davis? Coach
Davis
was
was assistant coach.
He was still there. Okay,
yes, he was.
All right. Okay. Yeah, I know he recruited Dave, and because I never knew that he recruit you or did he not recruit you. But you obviously just let me know the other assistant Goldman, who I actually don't remember. I guess if I saw his face, I probably would remember him. But so you are there. You go through your process. You have some success. You're playing for Shelby Metcalf and playing in old G. Raleigh Fieldhouse.
Yes, sir.
Yep. And doing what you're doing is the funniest thing, how things repeat themselves. And I was in high school. We played Grand Prairie High School in G. Raleigh Fieldhouse in the regional semifinals in College Station, which would have been roughly about the same time that. Remember the old Aggieland Inn?
It was because I watched the South Oak Cliff girls play a playoff game there.
Right, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, so the same time that coach was in college there, that same field house, it was called G. Raleigh Field House, where he played was also where they hosted the high school regional championship games, or regional tournaments, I should say, during those days. But so you go through that process, now you start realizing that, you know, you're not going to be at Texas A&M for the rest of your life. And how do you even start to formulate, what do I do next? Because now you've entered into Texas. You've been in Texas for 2 or 3 years, gotten adjusted. I don't know, do you like Texas, or
yeah, I enjoyed
kind of at that time? I mean, was it still adjustment, or you were starting to take a liking to it? I
liked it because I basically wanted to move to Houston, because Houston was little New York. It was close. We thought that was the closest thing we can get to New York.
Okay. That's very interesting. And then during those times, and interject, and this is what I recall, it's funny you say that. I grew up, obviously, in Dallas and from here to Austin, but when I got to Houston, I felt like Houston was way more ahead of Dallas from where I had come from. Dallas at that time was so segregated and conservative and just such a different animal. You thought, I never heard it put like little New York, but Houston had a whole lot more pop to it. You know, I mean, everything was going kind of fast.
Yeah.
You know.
We'd hang out down in 5th Ward and be around Wheatley and Yates, go to 3rd Ward, and you know, when you're young and you're impressive and you're down in that neighborhood and you're from the inner city, you fall right in place.
Right. That's what I know right here. Right. Yeah. That's an interesting answer. Okay, that's an interesting thing that you were able to do that and feel comfortable, and how it translated from a city of 2 or 3 million people, but still the style of the city coming from a big place like New York, which was probably roughly 10, 12 times the size of Houston, but the culture was, you saw some similarities in the culture. Yes. That allowed you to get comfortable with what you were doing. So you're there, you're kind of hanging out down there, you're going down there on the weekends, and you're enjoying things, and now you come to the end of your college basketball career, and you know, you're trying to get prepared. How worried are you about playing pro, or do you think what's going on in your mind at that point?
Well, I had finished up at, believe it or not, my credits was going to keep me at A&M an extra year. So when I got through playing at A&M, I transferred over to Paul Quinn in Waco.
Okay. So
I started moving toward Dallas and started going to Dallas.
That's the real old time days. Y'all all think Paul Quinn is right there on Simpson Stewart Road. That was Bishop College at the time, sir. And Paul Quinn was in Waco.
And all the guys from Paul Quinn, they were all from Houston, and a lot of them. I mean, these guys were really, really good players, and I was always wondering why they didn't go bigger. But say la vie. Paul Quinn was in the Sports Illustrated that year in '82. They had the coach over there. He was in the casket. They was on cover of Sports Illustrated, so they was doing their thing. Shout out to Mike Sorrells and Paul
Actually,
Quinn.
remember
doing
that.
big
That's
things
crazy.
right
It sure
now.
was. I remember you said that casket. That brought the whole thing. I'm gonna say something real quick. I got to go to break. We just got out of a big staff meeting, so we're supposed to be following all the rules. I don't want to be in the same doghouse that Tom is in over there. Tom getting dog. Tom was on his phone, I believe, during the staff meeting. But the stuff got laid out. I want to stay on time here. We're gonna be coming back for another segment of it. But we're here, right here with Rob Wright, telling his story. He's already stuck in Texas, but he doesn't know he's stuck in Texas. He doesn't know that's how it works, but he's breaking it down to how it is in the state of Texas and his experience here. And now we have him in Waco, finishing up his education at Paul Quinn there, and we're going to come back from the break and talk more about how all of that galvanizes itself into the best is still yet to come with Rob Wright right here on the Lone Star Sports Show on the Lone Star Sports Network. Obviously, today's show is brought to you by FastSmallSports.com. This particular segment was brought to you by Harlem Hotels. They get 2 segments a show. Harlem Hotels right there in Houston, Texas. Go take a look at HarlemHotels.com and see how you can put your money where you sleep. We got Rob Wright, Lady Life, Ani the Prince, and my main man Tom Emman over there getting him a little time out, vacation, hand behind his head. All we need to go ahead and give him a little sunshine. He be getting a suntan over there. Turn one of these big lights around there on him, let him relax and think he's on vacation. Get him some adult beverage in there to let him relax a little bit. Lone Star Sports Show right here on the Lone Star Sports Network. We'll be back in 180 seconds with more of what you want to know about Oak Cliff, Texas. We got the Oak Cliff, Texas legend right here, Rob Wright. Straight out of the Big Apple. Back in 180 seconds with more all things sports, all things Texas. Hey, we're back here rolling in the Lone Star Sports Show. I'm not quite sure if this is the Lone Star Sports Show or is this the BET Awards show tonight. Sitting here, man, Coach, I thought you were a pretty decent basketball coach, but, Coach, you've been hiding something on me.
Yeah, hip hop legend.
I thought
I'll keep it under wraps.
I thought Dave Britt was just hustling some people, but you really had some game.
Yeah, some game.
You had some game.
Yeah.
All right. They told
A
me.
little talent.
They told me. We take Rob in there, boy, and for people to throw money at Rob. Well, y'all used to wager on the dance contest, and then the crowd would decide who was
No,
the
we
champ.
find a dance contest that they paid you a lot of money back in them days, and you win, you get the bag.
So they had judges determine who win.
Yeah.
So they couldn't mess up your eligibility as a basketball player
No.
because you were using some of your other talents.
No,
'Cause I know y'all up there in New York. Y'all like
Yeah.
to play basketball for money too.
And my older brother, he won the dance contest at the Apollo. He won $1,000, and we just went bananas. We ran up on the stage. So I've been to
It's like we in lady life
everywhere.
world right
Yeah,
now.
I'm telling you, I've been on the Apollo dance floor. I've coached on Madison Square Garden. I've been places that I would have never gone if it went for basketball and dancing.
Basketball and dancing. I don't know what I should be talking about here.
Oh, we're gonna continue on
We'll stay
on the road to you.
Okay,
There you go.
on the road. Boy, that's exactly. I mean, I always knew a lot of this stuff, but sometimes you never dive in and just get down to the nitty gritty. So people probably sitting out there saying, "I guess Branch just met Rob or something, or whatever." But we've been knowing each other for a long time. Even,
Coached against each other.
Yep.
We talked last week or 2 weeks ago, and we'll keep that off air. But we know a lot of things.
We know, we
Yes,
go
sir.
right. You got real close to right there in the backyard, and stole one out our backyard.
Yes, sir.
His wife and I both grew up in the same neighborhood. We're about 2 blocks from each other. Never knew it until about 3 weeks ago. So I mean, it is a small world. So you're right there. You're finishing up school, and tell me, okay, you're in Waco, Texas. So you just Coach, you leave the Big Apple, and you go to Trinidad, Colorado. Then you go to College Station, Texas. Then you go to Waco, Texas. Because you were getting in where you fit in, huh?
I was zigzagging then when I went to Waco.
You went to Waco.
I went down a peg there.
You went down, looked around down there. Mitch Malone was probably around down there about
Malone.
that same time.
Yeah, I met him down in Waco.
Mitch Malone was probably a senior in high school about that time.
Yes, he
because
was.
Mitch and I the same class. But no, that's a very interesting time. So we finished there. So now, I mean, and that was one of the things I was talking to Robert Kirby, one of the assistants at Georgetown today, and we were talking about a young kid as a freshman who didn't guide us up there, and just talk about the transition from being a freshman and going through your process, and then when you start to get to a senior, or you start to run out of eligibility, or you start to get older, whatever word you want to call it, but reality starts setting in. So when you go to Waco, it's starting to be some reality starting to set in, right, Coach?
It got a lot slower and a lot darker.
Yeah.
I didn't know which way I was headed.
That's true. But you knew at that point in time, was there any thought in your head about going back to New York?
Oh, always. I wanted to go. I go home all the time, and I was going back to New York. I was not staying in Texas or anywhere else. I miss New York so bad,
Kind
but
of sound like me in Houston, Coach.
had a mother that said that's not what you need to do. And then, I started thinking about coaching. I started helping before I got to Waco. I was helping Larry Brown down at Bryan High School. I used to go over there and help him out.
And that is Larry Brown. There was the head coach at Westfield High School. There was an assistant out there, coaches overseas. Hell of a basketball coach. I love Larry. Hell of a guy. I haven't seen Larry in a minute. Can't think. I know he was over with Billy Gillespie in that group for a minute or two. And can't sure. Every once in a while, Larry just disappears. He goes off and coaches some national team somewhere overseas.
His son got a high school job.
Okay.
Right.
I would wonder which way Larry went, but know Larry well. Like I say, good basketball mind and done a lot. So you were with Larry helping, and he was where at that time?
He was at Bryan High School.
Bryan High School, okay.
Yeah. I would go over and help him out and just enjoy just working with the kids and then going back to school.
So at that time, you started to think, okay, maybe this coaching thing might be.
That's when I started.
That's
exactly.
That's the whole deal of what it was. So that was a volunteer basis going there. You've been around a hell of you couldn't have got a better start. I guess you could say in the beginning of your career, you correct me if I'm wrong, your first head coach as an assistant coach was Larry Brown.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. Larry and coach was a hell of a basketball coach, hell of a basketball mind, and a tremendous individual too. So that's a deal there. So you get finished up with school and you spend some time over there, kind of got your teeth cut and kind of saw how things went around the ISD type situations. What are you thinking then, Coach?
Well, I got an opportunity in '84 to come up and work at a middle school, so I took the offer from Mr. Williams. He used to be a superintendent, area superintendent. Got a job in the middle school and started working. I stayed there for 7 years, and we won a city championship and started working in summer league basketball. A couple of coaches got together in 1985 and started Slam and Jam. And big influence on my life is Coach Ron Powell, who me and Tom Emmon started at the same time. We sat there as young guys with the
a lot of hair ago, right, Rob?
Yes, we learned a lot, and I'll tell you.
I didn't even realize y'all both were about story at the same time.
No.
He was about story, and I was volunteering with Ron.
We were at SOC.
Okay,
y'all
both going on SOC.
All just
Okay, gotcha.
Became friends. It was random as you could possibly imagine.
Yeah.
I didn't know Ron from Adam. I didn't know Rob. Rob didn't know Ron. Nobody knew anybody.
Right.
Three random guys ended up at 3601 Southwest Sales.
94 by 50, everybody ended
together.
up right there and brought it all together.
A country guy from Crandall, a New York City black guy, a white guy from Chicago, and it's amazing what the basketball court does to make a common denominator out of uncommon people or people that aren't
Don't come from
we're not from the same common
different
environment,
backgrounds,
right?
right?
But
right.
we all somehow melted. All seems to melt
Crandall,
together.
Texas. That's where Coach was from.
Yes, sir.
Crandall, Texas. Yes, sir. Him and Donna Caps.
Donna Caps.
Donna
You
Caps.
can throw a rock from one side of Crandall to the other side.
Ron probably threw it. He probably got hit by a few of them too.
He's seen something in me and Tom. You know, he really did. He stayed.
He's always been real proud of us, and
Yeah.
he was instrumental. If it hadn't been for Ron Powell and Stan Hicks, I would never even got a job. Never got one.
That's it. So that's around about 85, 86?
No, about 89.
Well,
88,
I was
89.
I was before that. I was in '84, but I met Coach Powell when he came over to Carter about that. I mean, came over to SOC about that
Yeah,
time.
when he got the sock job, I just basically figured he's not going to get a whole lot of help, so I'll offer to work for him for free. And Rob came over and basically said, I know the neighborhood, I could probably help you, and it all kind of just worked together.
Right.
So let me. So your first stop in Dallas was in DISD.
Yes.
Okay, and you Bow Story.
Yes.
Okay, all right. We play Bow Stories. I'm very familiar
Right.
with Bow Story. Had a hell of a player there. That's a great place. I mean, when you came to Bow Story, you came right. Well, you know where your wife was from, so now you know. You were right there in the streets of where we grew up, and at that time I was already, going off and in the college, so we kind of missed each other. By the time you came here, I was leaving,
Right.
and when you first got down, I was not quite old enough to be going to places y'all were going in. Good Steve, boy, that's the biggest thing, boy, hanging out at the wild there by Cedar Crest.
Okay.
And y'all pull up, and y'all be in the car. We'd be on 10-speed bicycles.
Right.
Yeah, they would have a car. So I mean, it was just a deal to look at. So now you're in the ISD, and get me down through here the time from Bow Story until we make it to start looking at something different than high school basketball.
Well, at the time we started AAU basketball here in Dallas in 1986. And Ron Powell and Jimmy Tubbs and Jimmy Gales and quite a few coaches were involved, and they kind of tabbed me and asked me to come over and help out. So I started coaching AAU basketball, and we started developing the kids. And then I went over and helped Jimmy Tubbs and volunteer basis at Kimball, and got a chance to coach some great kids over there. R.J. Hampton's dad, Rod Hampton, quite a few kids over there. And then wind up getting a call from Carter. Shout out to Freddie James.
You were right there, Freddie James,
Game
legend right there.
Rest in peace, Miss James.
Yeah.
And Mr. Brew was my principal, and he gave me opportunity.
Mr. Brew.
I was getting turned down a lot of jobs. No, you're too young. You don't have enough experience. You had this, you had that. So, I had a chip on my shoulder, and I got a chance to go to Carter in '91. I didn't get an opportunity to be a head coach until '94.
At that time, when you were coming along there, my ex-high school coach, Rabbit Thomas, I guess was your administrator, AD or something.
He had a lot to do with helping me, telling me to slow down, young man. You'll get your time, and I had to weave through people, and then I finally got an opportunity.
Okay, so you went to Carter as assistant before you became the head coach.
Yes,
and who was the head coach there at that time?
George Rowland. He was the head coach there, and I stayed assistant under him for 3 years, and those 3 years, we got beat up a lot, and I always said when I got an opportunity to get that job or a job that it was going to be some things because I learned a lot before it was like 10 years of learning before I became a head coach, before I sat in that first seat. So it wasn't anything new to me. It just was an opportunity. So my first year, I went to the state championship. We lost to
San Antonio
East Central.
team.
Yeah, I mean, because Jesse Warren, my big man, broke his leg at halftime. We were winning. So right at that particular time, Stanley Bolowicz, who scored 40 points against us in that game, had played for me prior that summer in Nike National AAU because I had took a team.
That's
to
Mr.
that,
Lane's
and
team? Or?
He was on my team.
Oh.
You want a funny side story of that one?
Yeah.
He had Rob Washington and Anthony Good. Anthony's your nephew, right?
Yes.
Okay. And I knew these guys for quite a while. I was always the loud white guy and everything. And I was Rob's friend and this and that. Well, after they lost to East Central, I let it die for a little while. Next time I saw those guys, I said, "Hey guys, can you do me a favor? Next time you say white boy, say Mr. White Boy, because y'all got driven. You got driven by Stanley Bolowicz.
Anything with
that kid was notorious for putting up some big numbers, though. Yeah,
he did.
He didn't have a lot of help, but I mean, everybody understood. And I didn't know much about that team, and I was actually really away from high school basketball, but I heard about him.
His motor was crazy. I don't ever remember seeing a white kid with a motor like this.
If I remember right, they came over to the JC tournament in Houston sometime during his career, and he scored like crazy points. I said, "Man, let me go see this boy." And yeah, he can play. He can play.
Be careful.
Be careful
who you.
Stan's still in good shape.
Yeah, be careful who you teach because they come back and bite you.
You just got through it. You bite the hand that feeds you. That's the way it works. You got where you can take the pebble out your hand. But hey, we right here at the Lone Star Sports Show, and we talking visiting with Rob Wright, telling us, and then we're at Carter High School. We got Slammer Jammer going on, and he's played for a state championship. We still got a lot more going. If you want to know how you get to be a legend, you got to have a body of work, Coach. You got a body of work.
You got a lot.
I got his resume right here. I'm gonna take 2 telephones. I have to back up memory. I said, well, Coach, we can't put all of that in your resume. Well, that's what I did, Coach. And that's what you get when you work hard and you blessed and you're around good people and you're willing to learn from good people. That's one of the things I've learned about Rob is Rob does a lot of listening. He listens really, really well, and he absorbs a lot at a high rate. And I can imagine, coming through those days and all the success that you had, how you were able to just move along through the channels because 2 things: you learn fast and people like you. That's a good formula to have in success. But we're right here at the Lone Star Sports Show on the Lone Star Sports Network. Giving it to you like it is. Rob Wright is here doing it. Tom Inman, Alan Branch, Lady Life, and my man, Ani the Prince. Keeping it going where it's going. Talking about legend, Oak Cliff legend, straight out of the Big Apple, stuck down here for 30-some years now. I don't think he's going back home now. I think this is it. Got Rob right here in studio, breaking it all down and how he got where he is and where all he's been. And then we're going to talk a little bit about where he's going. Lone Star Sports Show right here on the Lone Star Sports Network. Back here at the Lone Star Sports Show. Boy, I tell you what, this is a good evening. Man, you talking about when the time you just enjoy the show, how I do it for free tonight. That's how good it is. Right here on the Lone Star Sports Show on the Lone Star Sports Network. My main man and special guest, in-house legend, right here doing it, the Oak Cliff legend, Rob Wright, straight out of the Big Apple. Lady Life and Uneven Money, keeping us where we're supposed to be, and yours truly, Alan Branch and Tom Emlin, your regular guest. But right now, we got a special guest. Almost, when they start telling stories, I almost want to get. Probably should give Tom a segment here and just let him talk Oak Cliff. But we get ready to kind of move on out as collegiate and move out of this high school deal and start talking about the remainder of the progress you got here. So, Coach, you straighten me out if I'm wrong. I've heard the Snoop Johnson version. I'm trying to put it all together because I was away then. I had already left Dallas. I wasn't around. Miles away, and away from basketball at the time. During the time that you're talking about there, because we're talking about 87, 88, 89.
Yes.
No, we're nowhere close to a basketball court right that minute. You all would have been the first group in the Oak Cliff area or in the Dallas DISD area to put a non-scholastic group of players together for the purpose of competing against other groups. Did you only play against guys? Because we had a deal back in the day when we were kids, when Mud and all those guys used to run the rec center and stuff, where we played against each other at the different rec centers. Where they just pass the jerseys out and match up and play, and that was it. They took the jerseys up, and you hope coaching them let you do it again next Saturday. So it wasn't anything structured about it. But you're saying that y'all had something that resembled pretty much the traveling nature of what we're talking about now?
Right. What we did was we had like 3 players from each high school, and we combined them. Maybe we had about 10 to 12 kids. So we had like 300 to 400 young men in varsity level.
So you had 30 teams.
Yeah. We had quite a few teams. So we just played a league within the league. So we only can play – I only let them play 20 games. You were only allowed to play 20 games. So we had to match up where we made sure that everybody got –
And all of this took place within a 30, 45 minutes of
we played at the Moreland Y. We played up at the Salvation Army in Pleasant Grove. We played at Cobb Field
Used to play
House
football
and,
right there. Yep, Little League football. That's right.
We got the opportunity to coach Larry Johnson. And
I guess Jazzy must have been over at Moreland Y.
No, Jazzy wasn't here at that time.
Jazzy wasn't here at that time.
No. We going back from the beginning. We the big dogs now. We not talking about the puppies. No disrespect. Shout out to all you AAU guys. You all play for me, so you know what it is. Okay, I ain't lying.
We'll break it down.
Yes, sir.
Got the Godfather over here calling it out like
yeah. I'm aware too.
Get over here, make Snoop Johnson and Rod Hampton go over and sit down and listen.
Rob's gonna make him an offer they can't refuse.
Snoop's on my roster. I mean, so Snoop played for me. He was on my roster. So
yeah.
And it was competitive. We put a lot of pros out at that time. Nobody was going to prep schools. Everybody was staying home, and everybody was cutting their teeth against each other. And Larry led the way. We went to Vegas in 1986. Was the first time we took a travel team, and we only had to play 14 games because we didn't know how many games we were going to play in Vegas. And long story short, we kept going back and forth to Vegas. We finally won the national tournament in 89, 90 with Headache and Greg Ostertag and Jimmy King.
Greg Ostertag.
I've associated and lined myself up with a lot of guys that made it to the NBA from Dallas here and didn't have to go out and recruit. They were all homegrown. And it's been a good way to go.
Hey, Rob, do you remember Thomas Hill hitting that corner 3 and Bobby Knight absolutely going ballistic on Pat? You remember that?
He did, yes.
I'll never forget that. You needed a putty knife to get Bobby Knight off Pat Knight's ass. He was so pissed off.
About what?
Thomas Hill rose up and hit a 3 at the buzzer.
I know who Thomas Hill is.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, he's to losing the game.
Yeah.
How in the F did you let that GD kid step up and make a 3 UF? Oh, he went off, dude. It was brutal. It was brutal.
Y'all just got the ticking time. Tom just gave you a version of the Bobby Knight rage.
That was 25 years ago, and he didn't give a damn what you thought.
Oh, well, Bobby, I won't let you know the secret. Bobby Knight still don't give a
well,
damn.
He gave less of a damn. He don't give much of a damn now, but he gave a hell of a lot less of a damn then.
And he came to my gym a couple of times, recruited a couple of my players. And
I had 2 play for him. There's some stories.
Last one he came through with Crabtree, so he comes to me and said, Coach, he said, hey, Crab doesn't want to play basketball for me. I'm going to go fishing. So you need to tell me right now while I'm standing in this gym. I said, well, Coach, you need to go fishing. Crab's not coming to play basketball. He's going to play football. So he's been in my gym twice. And
the other time he had a little more success the first time.
First time, Andre Emmett. Yeah. Andre, we came, and Andre was there, and he came, and he's wanted to keep Andre. Andre wanted to transfer, so we talked to Andre in the stand and said, that's all she worked. That's all she worked.
Yeah. Andre made his way around that. Yeah. And had a good career. Had a really good career. That's a deal. So now you're there, and we're into the 90s. That's when I really know of you, because you're coaching some of my family members and stuff. Jabari Johnson. Y'all don't realize Jabari Johnson's another guy that played on his real teams, and Tyrone and all these guys. They wanted to be at that time. I was back into basketball,
right,
real heavy, and these guys wanted to be. They wanted to be pros. So at that time, it was a big deal to come to Houston to have a chance when John Lucas just started coming back, having the workouts. And so that was a deal to get free room and board at my place and then get a chance to go over to Lucas's and I get them in the workout.
We shout out to all my players. We did some special things in the 90s here, and I kind of balance and I talk about how my coaching style was. My coaching style always going to go back to my
your playing style.
My playing style in New York. But also Tom Penders had a lot to do with the running horns. Of course, Nolan Richardson in 94, 95 when he won the national championship and I stole everything he had. Of course, John Thompson. Everybody loved Georgetown back in those days, and that's who. Those were the three coaches that I basically took little bits and pieces from them and added what I did. And then Coach Powell, Ron Powell, and he had a lot to do with teaching me how to run a basketball team at that particular time, and just little bits and pieces of people as we moved on.
So at that point, you're right there in the middle of your coaching career. You were the head coach at Carter High School for how many years? 11?
Actually, I was only a head coach for Carter for 4 years. I was there for 7 years, but I was only coaching for 4 years.
Okay,
head coach.
All right. I can get math together. All right. So why do you leave Carter? I mean, you right here in the heyday, Carter Cowboys, red and blue. I mean, back in those days, believe it or not, to be sitting where we're sitting now, especially just a little bit before that, was a privilege. I mean, you were this was a different time. Carter High School, we lived over in the hood, you know. In this area right here, you felt like this. We knew Dallas Cowboys that lived over here. You had the country club there. And all the guys that went to Carter High School had Trans Ams and Z28s, and the girls were really pretty. And I mean, it was a flamboyant time to be on Wheatland Road. It was crazy because we remember the time when Interstate 20 wasn't even built. We used to race cars up and down the frontage road when they were in the process of building Interstate 20. And Carter High School at that time just sit out in the middle of a field with nothing else around it. And so it was just considered a prime deal. So I always wonder what opportunity came along to extract you out of that kind of an atmosphere. Everything was rocking and rolling. Everything was good at that time.
Everything was great. I mean, we took Carter to places that I never knew at that time, but we were ranked for 4 years. We were ranked in the top 10 in the country at the beginning of every year. I spit out so many All-Americans. I spit out NBA players. I spit out college players, international players. But then I got a call from Tom Penders. And he said, you hot right now, so you might want to try to take a chance to come and be a part of, being on a coaching level. So I went on and jumped out there and went to the University of Texas. And I got an opportunity for the first year to work in the operation part and be a part of University of Texas, which at that time, I mean, I'm not thinking about what school, where I'm at, or what the status is.
Makovich is the football coach, and Lonestar is still the AD, and you're on the 40 acres. So let's talk
and then
about
I wound up, Coach got a little problem down there, so he left, and he went to George Washington University, and he took me with him, and he gave me a status of the associate head coach. So right then, I have opportunity to coach a Division I team 4 games by myself because he got ejected. So that was a learning process. And then, as his health dwindled.
I'm going to throw something out here. I didn't see the game, but I know Tom Penders very, very well. I need to call Coach, before his elbow got bad, golf buddy and stuff. And Tom was such a I'm gonna say a decent human being.
Mm-hmm.
He loved people in their future enough. Aubrey Coleman is a kid that played for me that led the nation in scoring. They played for Coach. And but I would not be surprised is that he saw things going a certain way. Tom Penner's the kind of guy got himself kicked out the game so you could coach the game and have that opportunity to put that on your resume.
For sure.
I tell you what.
That's the kind of man he was.
Exactly. At the time, I didn't know that, but that happened. And
Right.
he made mention of that. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
That's
and
different.
that's the kind of human being that he was. He always wanted to, and sometimes kind of, you never know what's really rubbing off on you. When I look back in hindsight, the time that I spent around him is kind of what makes me take pride in wanting to give other people opportunity. When he told me he did that and found that, I say, man, that means that you really care about the people around you and you trying to provide an opportunity for them. And I don't know the nature of the game. I don't know if y'all gonna lose or win or whatever. But he had played coach so long and had so much success and done all different things. It wasn't about that anymore. It knew his family was good. It was all about whoever else he could help.
Exactly, and it worked out like that. So, we didn't win the games, but we had large deficits, but we came close. We got him down, and he just wanted to see how it worked out. And I got a lot of opportunities and a lot of experience on that level. So, I was good with myself.
So, well, you look at all of those things that you've had a chance to absorb and be a part of and go through, and we're going to come back in the next segment and wind it all down. We're going to gather it all up, and now TexasBoysBasketball.com, you are in the scouting service business. Number one producing state in the country with prospects. All these prospects you coach, so Texas inside out by now.
Yes,
You've been living in Beaumont and volunteering in college in Bryan and going to school in College Station and so Waco. And you made your way around the state. You worked in Austin, so you got a vast familiar. You hung out plenty in Houston. You got even for a Big Apple guy, you know a lot about Texas at this point.
I know some places.
That's the whole deal. That's an interesting piece. That's what we're going to wind it down at right here on the Lone Star Sports Show. On the Lone Star Sports Network, today's show is brought to you by FastSmallSports.com. This particular segment was brought to you by the Lone Star JUCO Prep Showcase, October the 5th and 6th. We'll be back in 180 seconds with more of the legend, Oak Cliff legend, Rob Wright, giving it to you like it is. Tom Inman, Alan Branch, Lady Life, and the Prince under your money. Hey, here we are back here at the Lonestar Sports Show. I just pulled one up in my phone. I ought to take a chance and see exactly what happened. But Coach, you in the process of all of this, and you've been here, and now you've made full circle. You've been at the Division I level. You've been you played junior college basketball. You've been at that time it was in the Southwest Conference, which is pretty much equivalent of the Big 12 now, I guess you could say, in some fashion or another.
It was a Power 5 at the
It was a Power 5 league at the time.
Days, yes.
Right, yeah. It was a Power 5. It had the Big 8. You didn't have the Big 8 is gone, and the Southwest Conference is gone. That makes up the Big 12. So it was a power league, and no doubt about that. And then you basically, from all my interpretation, and you, Tom, can stand to correct me, but you pretty much pioneered non-scholastic club. We love to use the term AAU basketball, grassroots basketball in this community. We didn't have it before then.
No, we didn't. And we also were able to buy all the shoe companies here. I had a Adidas contract, Nike contract, Reebok contract, Pony contract, N1 contract. I had every contract, every shoe contract for my school. And for AAU.
Right. And you know what a lot of that is? A lot of that is it's two things that make that happen. Players and relationships.
Sure.
Those are two ingredients that make those things happen. And
shout out to Sonny Vaccaro.
Yeah. Yep. See, you got two guys sitting right here that are better in this business because of what Sonny did. I never will forget the opportunity, the wisdom. Sitting there, Tubby Smith and Mike Krzyzewski are sitting there going at it, and John Year's in the middle of a conversation, and I still remember just like it was yesterday. Sonny pulled me to the side and said, "Hey, they're gonna talk all this right here, but let me show you how to make it in this business."
Exactly.
And he told me one thing: Branch's business is about players. You got players, you're in business. No players, you're soon to be out of business. They can sit there and talk all they want. Right now, the main ingredient is going to always be the player.
You got a better intro than I did. He came and he told me straight up, "Hey, you need to get out of bed with Nike and come over here to Adidas."
Well,
I didn't know who he was.
I was already putting air in the balls and washing the uniform for Adidas at the time.
Right.
So I was already in the right place. He had to go recruit you from the wrong place over to the right place.
That's what he said. I didn't even know who he is. So I asked the guy, I said, "Who's this little short Italian guy?" I asked Kenny Eggman, God bless his dead, and he worked for the Memphis Grizzlies, and he was my AAU coach when I was 13. He said, "That's the guy you need to go and get into bed with." I said, "Okay." I went and got in bed with him.
Yep. Exactly. And you never regretted me. You talking about one of the most loyal guys. I'm going to tell you how loyal and how the way Sonny was. A deal was going down between Reebok and Adidas at the time. And Sonny needed us over there at Reebok because he was trying to get it going. Mm-hmm. But he had just given John a new contract a year before. And he told me, he said, "Well, man, you stay over there and you get everything that you can get there, and then when you don't, when it's over, then you can come on over here. But get everything you're supposed to get over here because what you're gonna get over here is not gonna equal what I already gave you over there." That's the kind of dude Sonny was.
Yes, he was.
That's pretty straight up.
Yeah, you stay over there. We pulled on the side of the freeway. I can remember now. I think about it all the time when I'm driving around in Vegas, and I remember being in a convertible Sebring Chrysler car. We pull up under this bridge with the top back because we couldn't hear Coach Sonny talking. And we pull over, we sit there, and we talked on the phone. He laid out, I said, "This is what you guys need to do." And so we stayed with Adidas for one additional year before we ever did the Reebok thing, before the RBKU, because the whole deal was Sonny had the world's best right there at Teaneck, New Jersey. Don't get no better than that.
ABCD camp.
ABCD, baby.
Sorry.
I mean,
hands down.
Hands down. I've seen it all.
Hands down.
Can't touch it. What my man out there, the running man, you say, "Can't touch that."
No doubt.
Couldn't touch it. Nobody's touched it yet.
Yeah, I had an opportunity to be involved with a volunteer, not assistant coach in the Magic Johnson round ball game.
Yeah, that's another one of those things he put his hands
limo
on.
with Kobe and his family, and was able to have the opportunity to coach with them.
And one of the reasons that, in all due respect, Kobe's a hell of a player and never done anything, whatever, but it always broke my heart. I shouldn't say broke my heart. It bothered me the way things went down between he and Kobe and how he handled it. Business is business, but people still handle people in a human, decent kind of a way. And all that Sonny had done for Kobe, takes us off on a tangent. But here we are here on Basketball Thursday, and they're getting a real good dose. Basketball with a legend like Rob Wright right here, breaking it down, brought it all to it. He brought it right out of the Big Apple. Kind of always thought that's what had happened, and I'm exposing it right here on the Lone Star Sports Show, on the Lone Star Sports Network. We were raising good basketball players, but we weren't getting that true national, global feel. And you came right here in Oak Cliff, Texas, in the personality of Rob Wright. That's why I call you the Oak Cliff legend. Is because, yeah, Snoop Johnson had a lot of success, but you had paved the way for him to have the opportunity to have that success. Coach Mudd, Coach Ellis Davis, all those guys, they were good basketball coaches, and they did a lot for our community as basketball coaches. Coach Gales, all those guys. But what you brought to us, Coach, and I never thought I would say this, what you brought to us gives Alan Branch the opportunity to be who he is.
I bought the 24-second clock here before they made it real. But to be honest with you, they had good basketball before I got here. They had very good basketball before I got here.
They had good basketball, but the good basketball was in a vacuum.
Right.
We were down here. We weren't able to reach out. We weren't getting national and global experiences. And I feel like you, from just what you told me right prior to BCI, you brought it in to allow. Yeah, the lawsuit that took place with my man down in Houston, that was tremendous and huge to give you the opportunity to do what you do, because that's what allowed the UIL to kind of had to have a little leniency to open it up. That was 1987?
87.
Yeah. And that happened there. But prior to that, Coach, the non-scholastic basketball, biggest non-scholastic basketball we had was in the playgrounds and then the rec centers on Saturday morning.
Yeah, we just grabbed it by the horn and we formulated it, and we just took it national. And just like with Carter High School, we went to every national tournament every year. We went national, and got us out there, and we started winning national tournaments. And
people started at that time. That was the beginning of people wanting to try to understand Texas basketball as being for real. And then you roll all that time what Coach is talking about in the 90s, you roll that right up to TJ Ford, and Willow Ridge goes out and wins the Beach Ball Classic, wins the City of Palms, all those deals. And at that point in time, people started thinking, hey, Texas might be for real.
That's true.
And so we have to say, but the thing that always we have to recognize, we like to look at the TJ Ford teams. We like to look at all the McDonald's All-Americans, all the things that I've had a chance to be a part of. But if there wasn't Rob paving the thing out there, would we be where we are now at the magnitude that we're doing it? And people lose. Most people try to remember who did what last, but they don't realize what was done last would not have happened if what was done first would have been done.
That makes a lot of sense.
That's the point that I get at. So when you look back, Coach, and like I said, I make a living observing. I know that you're a fast learner and you're a tremendous listener. You listen with sincerity. And what do you think out of all those years of absorbing and 39 quality years in the great Lone Star State that have been pretty good to you?
It's been great for me.
Yeah.
Yes, it has.
And you've been pretty good to us.
Yes.
Now tell me, how do you attribute where you were able to absorb things from? Was it you get it from parents, your kids you coach, was your mentors? When you try to collect all those things together and you recollect in your mind now and you look back, give me your learning style, give me your sources in which you were able to extract information that allowed you to be as successful as you've been.
I think I always wanted to be good. I always wanted to be better than the next person. Growing up in the city, you always want to be better than the guy down the block. You want to have a reputation. So the learning and being, coming from a fundamental part of your family, and I've been coached by older men coming up. So I never had a lot of screamers or fussers, people who mistreat you when they're coaching you. So that's me. I feel big about giving people opportunities. So it's like you want to have a pit bull, you want to let them loose, or you want to have a pit bull where you can contain them. And I've always wanted to do well, and then I got an opportunity to see people and do things, and and just go force. I seen things. I always seen things in front of me, so I always was ahead of the game.
Okay, yeah, that's a huge deal. As we get ready to wind it down, the last 2 minutes, man, we're really glad to have you on here. Last thing I want to say is that you've been up for some jobs, and a lot of people don't know, and I'm not going to get real explicit about it, but it's been a huge thing for me to be able to give to people. Like I talked about, some of the things I learned from Tom Penders and being around him and being around some other people like Barry Davis, and understanding the value of giving. And I feel like we're thankful for you to be with us here at TexasBoysBasketball.com. I think it's tremendous for a young man like Unnie to be around you. He doesn't really realize what he's getting because they go so fast and everything's happening so fast with them. But to really see and understand what it is they're looking at and what they're able to have a chance to absorb from. Sometimes you don't know what you're learning. But I guess the unfortunate thing is, Coach, I just don't know how much longer you'll be with us.
Well, I'm hoping someone tag me and give me an opportunity. I'm well versed, ready.
Well, I mean,
just the opportunity.
Being in the business, sports resources, representing coaches as we do at Sports Resources, I know what's in the nature of the hiring process, and things have a way of turning over. I've seen the time that there were maybe only out of 23 Division I schools, there may have been two jobs come open, maybe 3, 4, 5 staff jobs come open. I've seen the other time when half of the 23 jobs would turn over, and when half of those 23 jobs turned over, you had roughly 30 or 40 jobs that were available. Everything goes in cycles, and I know you're a no-brainer. You've been interviewing for some jobs here lately, and there's still out there what's going to happen. So it'll be interesting as we go into the season and we start falling back out into this spring, how this thing will roll out and how this thing will pop and go. But you got a qualified man. You can't question the resume. You can't question the relationships. You can't question the IQ. You can't question. How about that? Rob Wright here, the legend in Oak Cliff, Texas, all the way from the Big Apple, stretches all the way across the process. You want to get a good one, here one is. I'm going to hate to let him go when that happens. Lone Star Sports Show right here on the Lone Star Sports Network. We're going to come in and get a little ticking time, Tom, on this last rant here as when we come back in for this last segment and talk about what all's going on that upsets him in the process. And then guess what? You guys enjoy your weekend. Be safe and careful. We'll be back in 180 seconds with more Lone Star Sports Show right here at FastSmallSports.com.
Thank you.
All right, the rant is about...
diagramming plays around here. I think Coach is trying to tell me how Rob Wright beat him.
No. That was Snoop.
That was Snoop the way Snoop.
No. That was Irving High School. I'm sorry. And that was the
Slide
hosing
over
of all
here, Coach.
time.
They're gonna get a lane violation on you over here. Out of the way.
Hey, illegal defense.
They're gonna call you for something, Coach. When that lady over there starts moving her hand around, you ain't got to worry about me.
I'm the kind of guy they call things on anyway, especially when she's here, right?
Man, I tell you what, man. I really wasn't as prepared for that interview as I probably should have been. As well as we know each other, work with each other, everything goes so fast and we do so much. We have so much going on, in our process of the day-to-day grind of just keeping up with it. When you go back and you get 39 years of a man's career with more, and the thing about a guy like Rob, you still don't know what's still in front of him. It's still rolling out there. Rob might come get you out of retirement, Coach. You had to go to work.
Who knows? I am available. I'm not in a big hurry to wake up and work.
Don't y'all fall for that. Yeah, y'all don't want somebody over there stealing money from you, playing golf on your clock.
Never stole a dollar in my life.
I'm not talking about stealing like that. But
No. You know what my mom told me? Honestly, is a good piece of advice for young kids out there. She said, not that someone was dumb enough to give you a job, be smart enough to give them $2 worth of work for every dollar they pay you.
That's pretty good, right? It was.
She always told me that. She said, "Don't be lazy. A guy like you won't last long."
Yeah, that's hilarious. Coach, what do you want to jump on the NFL about? Now we've talked about the fact I jumped on the NFL because there's no way I'm gonna get ticking time Tom primed up here.
So stir it up right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna stir it up. There's no way in the NFL that you should be in a situation where you're making the billions of dollars that you're making, and you got guys that this was built on their backs, and you can't provide the appropriate health deal for them. All these other industries are able to come up with it, and these other industries these other industries don't make a fraction of what the NFL makes.
All right, now you got me set up. Here you go. If you work at Starbucks right now, you get stock options and full insurance. Mm-hmm. If you're a barrister, if you make $11 an hour making our freaking coffee, they give you insurance. Mm-hmm. Every school, you always hear about how school teachers are so underpaid. Every one of us has insurance. I'm a retired teacher. I have insurance. First of all, the insurance deal is an absolute insult because at the most dangerous sport of all that incurs the highest injury rates, that then in turn incurs the most expenses later in their life, which you can't quantify, is the sport that needs it the most, the absolute most. That CTE contract, I was over there researching that when you were talking to Rob for a little while. Mm-hmm. They're giving out approximately $1 billion a year, and depending on the number of defendants you say is in this case, the amount of money per defendant is somewhere between $71,000 and $120,000. And I'm sorry to sound flippant, but $120,000 when it comes to medical is
evaporate.
It's nothing. It'll disappear in a week.
It'll flat out evaporate. I'm gonna show you something right here as we're talking. I'm going to break something down to you that proves exactly what we're talking about.
Do you know how many bankruptcies start in hospitals?
Man,
they start in a hospital.
That's a leading cause of bankruptcy. Here's right there, drug pricing. OP, how you pronounce that? OP, well,
Opdivo prices, coupons, and patient assistance. Oh, the patient. I love this patient assistance programs. If they're gouging you on the price, and you don't have enough money, they'll help you pay for it.
Look at this right here. $6,500 for 24 millimeters of this drug. This person, for the first round in this situation right here, this person is going to need roughly $20,000 worth of this drug. And it's a retired teacher, and the insurance company refused to pay for it.
Right, and you can't tell me that $20,000 cost them $1,000 to make. They'll tell you about the R&D. But if you go back to that, and you ask what people. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. I'm just jumping on the same wagon you own.
No, I'm just saying. But if you talk about people who incur that much risk and have that little insurance, and just every single thing about it is wrong. That goes back to greed. Let's go to the CTE contract. That's about greed. Let's talk about the uninsured contracts. That's greed. And money is not the root of all evil. The love of money is the root of all evil. And 32 guys in that league love money.
You call it greed, and I call it don't give a damn.
Well, but greed is the next door neighbor of don't give a damn. They live they're separated by a really thin fence.
Well, I think don't Yeah, you're probably right about that. Okay, you're right. I agree with that.
Because
I was going to say we're trying to figure out the chicken or the egg on that deal.
Oh yeah, it's a hair split. It's like a distinction without a difference.
Yeah, I was trying to see if there was a clear cut which one drives the other. Does greed drive I don't give a damn, or don't give a damn drives greed?
I would say greed drives I don't give a damn, because
greed drives I don't give a damn.
Right, exactly. Because most of us have a heart. You know, at some point in time we lose track of it, I think. But it just makes me sick to my stomach because these guys, and not only that, but they have an antitrust exclusion. These guys don't even pay income tax on the ridiculous amounts of money they made because somehow they corrupted our very corrupt politicians into giving them an antitrust exemption.
I wonder how they got that done.
Well, by paying
ain't but one way to corrupt somebody in the United States. You from Chicago.
You smoke cigars and you drink whiskey and you hand them envelopes. That's how things happen. That's dead people vote. My grandfather used to tell me, Tommy, I registered 55 dead people to vote. He laughed about it. I don't give a damn. What are you going to do? Catch me?
Yeah.
You know, so at the end of the day, though, it really comes down to it makes me absolutely sick to my stomach. And what I really hope, I hate to say this because I love the game of football, but I would love to see the NFL really kind of tank. I'd like to see the rankings down 25%. I'd like to see the television contract go in the shitter. I'd like to see these owners actually lose money once. Because at the end of the day, the players, they don't care about these players. They're such interchangeable parts. Dave Dorson, perfect example. Dave Dorson left the Bears, went to work for the league because he had no money and because he needed insurance. Isn't that ironic? Who did he go to work for when he needed money and insurance? He went to work for the league that won't pay money or give insurance. So what ends up happening? Dave Dorson basically was their flunky. You saw the movie Concussion. If you haven't seen it,
I've seen the movie Concussion.
Dave Dorson was the picture of a company man. He knew that what he was saying to every single person outside of that office was 180 degrees off of what he experienced. But he sold his soul to the devil.
Yeah,
and
to be able to have insurance,
right? But he wouldn't have had to do that if you'd have given him the damn insurance in the first place. Because Dave Dorson committed his blood, sweat, and tears to the Bears for I think 9 or 10 years. He was there for a long time.
I mean, it's a lot of situations fair, and it is greed. I definitely will agree with you. Any way that you want to, any way you want to look at it, it is greed that drives the process. But it kind of goes back to some things that we were talking about earlier when the whole deal comes down. We perpetuate the mentality. We give a hall pass toward things because what is kind of quietly broken down with. I love the capitalistic society that we live in. Gives everybody a chance to make it.
What we call it quasi-capitalistic. I'll get to it in a second. I'll explain what I mean.
But here's the deal. You sit, like I was saying earlier, and you don't create an environment where big entities like this right here look at right for right. We got to the point now that the right has to be profitable.
Well, though,
right is only right when it's profitable.
You know what a CE will tell you?
It's not right because those women should not have been abused or should not have been feared to come into the office.
No, right is right because they made money for the shareholders.
Right, yeah.
Right, and what makes me sick...
Well, I'm talking about the mere fact that they would turn around and sit now and say that Adam Silver missed a magical chance to gain some market points or marketing opportunity, might be a better way of saying, because he did not choose to take advantage and make an example out of Mark Cuban. Not make an example out of Mark Cuban because it wasn't right, but if he'd have made an example out of Mark Cuban, he could have leveraged his brand in the NBA and made himself look like a great guy. Come on, Coach. That's where it is. Go ahead, man.
What I was saying was that if you took 1% of the gross revenues of an NFL team, that guy would never notice it, and you could fund every single thing that those players ask for. Every single thing.
Yeah, because we know how all how insurance works. That's how you know how insurance works? They collect a whole lot more premiums than they have claims.
and when they pay more claims and premiums, they just charge you more the next year.
Yeah, exactly. Make up for it. But when they do have a year where they pay more claims than they have premiums, the fact that for the last 9 years they've had more premiums than they've had claims, they can resort.
They didn't give anything back those years, did they?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Right. Yeah, my point.
Right. So here's what bothers me: the CEO of a publicly traded corporation will tell you, my responsibility is to shareholders and maximizing shareholder value. Well, I mean, that flies in the face of doing the right thing. Like they'll say, well, why do we do? We talked one time about a ridiculous level of evaluation. Remember, I remember one time I said, why are kids getting evaluated at such a low level? And you said there's a market for it, and I said there's a market for crack. If all we're looking at is the bottom line numbers, then we can rationalize everything, including every immoral, unethical thing in the world.
I'm a businessman, right. So I understand the business. But the deal is, don't justify right because it makes business sense. Justify right because it's right.
Or
I don't care about you making some money off the
or
right.
justify business by just saying it's business. But don't try to conflate the two.
Right.
If you do, then what you're really doing is you're trying to do distraction play.
Well,
Donald Trump special.
Well, I mean, yeah, there's a level of distraction play, but what bothers me more than anything is what you're doing to the youth and to the young people's minds of how they're seeing it. You're creating a value system. You're creating a community, a mentality that people don't mean anything as long as you make money.
And can you imagine if you're growing up and you're just becoming politically aware, you're just becoming economically aware, and your reference point is that orange baboon we have in Washington that has absolutely no respect for anybody? And here's another thing. I've had people tell us that, like, for instance, what I said to people, I said, what was wrong with Obamacare? Why is 30 million people that have health insurance that never used to have it, why is that worse? And someone said, well, man, this is a capitalistic country. I said, no, it's a quasi-capitalistic country. I said, because we all pay for the sidewalks that all the rich guys got rich on. We all drive on the same roads. Right, and at the end of the day, if someone gets hit on the highway on the way home today, where are they going if they have no insurance? They're going to Parkland, right? Okay, in Chicago, they go to Cook County, wherever. We've had socialist medicine for years. We've had socialism for years. We've had food stamps for years. But what I don't like is, as much as we know that that's the case as old people, and they still use the wrong words to try to make it sound wrong. But now these kids have no reference point, so now they think it's okay to screw people out of insurance. Screw them out of food stamps. Who cares?
Out of all that ranting and raving you did, you actually got the point. You got the point of the fact that the value system is being corrupt. So when the value system is corrupt, then society is going to be corrupt. You got us right here on the Lonestar Sports Show on the Lonestar Sports Network. It's winding down to our early weekend. We get ready to get to the weekend. It's going to be a little stormy this weekend, so all y'all be careful. Remember, don't drive in the water that you don't know what you're looking at right there. You know, the sign says, I think, turn back before you drown.
Turn around before you drown, right?
Turn before you drown. Turn back before you drown. Be careful is all we're trying to say right here at the Lonestar Sports Show for all you people that are listening live right here on September the 20th, Thursday. We got a lot of threatening storms and things that coming about. We're going to be going out to multiple camps, and fall basketball events will be going on right here on Basketball Thursday. So we come back in on Tuesday. We'll be talking a lot about what's going on with recruiting. We're going to be talking a lot about what's going on in the fall exposure / evaluation events with basketball kicking off the word is. And obviously we're going to get a good look at the Cowboys. Back in 100, and actually not 180 seconds, back in on Tuesday in some hours, maybe it's 180 hours. We'll be back with more of the Lonestar Sports Show. Tom Inman, Alan Branch, Lady Life, and the Prince, and we were glad to have my main man right here today, the legend in Oak Cliff, Rob Wright, came in. Y'all chime in, look and listen. We're going to give you more of it on next week. Have a great weekend. See you on the next one. Be careful.